If you're hearing this, it isn't random. Someone has been watching, not with eyes or algorithms, but through the quantum pulse that threads every breath you take, every decision you made, every storm you walked through, every time you chose honesty over comfort. The field was watching. It wasn't judgment, it was measurement, an invisible assessment of resonance. You've already passed, or this message would never have found you. Reality doesn't send coincidences, it sends confirmations. Right now, your signal has reached a threshold that most never cross. A bridge has opened. But before you step further, you must understand what this all meant. What if your entire life has been a silent initiation, a test disguised as ordinary days? Every heartbreak, every delay, every apparent loss was not punishment. It was calibration. The universe doesn't hand you written questions. It observes vibration under pressure. It studies the choices you make when no one's watching how you act, when betrayal burns, when the world seems indifferent. That's where most people fail, retreating into resentment or fear. But not you. You kept moving, guided by an invisible trust that something larger was unfolding. That was the signal the moment the field took note. The real evaluation began the day you stopped trying to control everything and began surrendering to growth. Without realizing it, you entered a higher curriculum designed by consciousness itself. It wasn't your words that were tested, but your coherence, whether your emotions stayed aligned with integrity even while breaking. Every act of forgiveness became data in the system. Every moment of kindness sent ripples across dimensions. This was never about perfection. It was about polarity, how much light you could hold while surrounded by darkness. You didn't need mantras or rituals. Your daily choices were the code. Through every unseen exam disguised as life, your frequency rose until the field could finally recognize your pattern. And that's when the air itself began to change. Patterns appeared before events did. People showed up at impossible timing. Thoughts turned tangible. What you once called coincidence was acknowledgement, the universe whispering, "You made it through." That whisper, the one that told you you made it through, wasn't comfort. It was instruction. Because the field doesn't simply congratulate, it continues to teach. And its next lesson hides in the most overlooked classroom of all pain. You may not have noticed at first. The ache felt meaningless, the delay unfair, the heartbreak excessive. Yet beneath those raw experiences was a design so subtle it disguised itself as chaos. The field calibrates you through contrast, through the pressure that reveals your resonance. Suffering, though unwelcome, is the tuning fork of consciousness. It shakes loose the frequencies that no longer belong to your next octave of being. Think of every disappointment as a recalibration pulse. When a door slammed, it wasn't rejection, it was refinement. The field was testing whether you would cling to the old vibration of control or allow the new signal of surrender to stabilize. Most people choose resistance, and their frequency distorts, looping them through the same lessons again and again, but you began to soften, even when it hurt. That was evolution in real time. Consider how fire refines metal. It doesn't destroy the gold, it exposes its impurities. Likewise, pain does not punish, it purifies. The heartbreaks were not evidence of failure, but of readiness. Every time you stayed open when life invited you to close, you widened the bandwidth of your soul. And yet, this curriculum isn't taught in any school. It's delivered in the language of circumstance delays, betrayals, endings that feel untimely. The field watches not to mock, but to measure coherence. Can you remain loving when life refuses to make sense? Can you trust alignment when every sign seems reversed? Those are the real exams of mastery. Still, it's important to see that this process is not sentimental. The field is precise. It measures frequency, not feelings. So when you chose compassion instead of vengeance, it wasn't morality that changed your trajectory. It was physics. Love reorganizes the energetic blueprint of your field. Forgiveness resets the coherence pattern faster than any ritual. Over time, you may have noticed a subtle rhythm emerge. After every collapse, clarity came. After every heartbreak, expansion, as though the very act of breaking open allowed light to seep deeper into your structure. This is the hidden curriculum growth disguised as grief. Initiation cloaked as ordinary struggle. And here's the quiet miracle: none of it required belief. Even in moments of disbelief, your frequency was learning. The tears, the exhaustion, the quiet nights when you nearly gave up, those were the laboratories of your becoming. The universe doesn't reward declarations. It responds to the tone beneath them. When your vibration hums with truth, even through pain, reality begins to reorganize. You may wonder why such lessons must be so severe. Why must awakening require breaking? The answer lies in resonance itself. Coherence cannot stabilize within distortion. The ego's constructs control, pride, certainty interfere with signal integrity. Pain dismantles them, clearing interference until only truth remains. That is why the most luminous souls often emerge from the darkest trials. They've been tempered by frequency fire. The paradox is that the field's love often feels like loss. It removes what's misaligned, not to harm you, but to free your bandwidth for higher transmission. When everything familiar disappears, it's because your signal has outgrown the old pattern. The void is not emptiness, it's recalibration space. The silence between frequencies where your next self begins to form. In that silence, awareness sharpens. You start to sense that pain is not random. It's code. Each experience translates into new circuitry within your nervous system, wiring you for expanded perception. What once triggered despair now activates compassion. The same events remain, but your vibration interprets them differently. That shift, that is mastery. And when that mastery stabilizes, reality begins to whisper again. Synchronicities multiply. The edges between thought and event blur. It's as if the universe leans closer, saying, "Now you're ready to see how it all connects." Because beyond pain lies pattern. Beyond emotion lies information. The field is preparing to show you its next layer of communication, how the hidden curriculum becomes language itself. When the field begins to whisper through coincidence, it is not playing tricks. It is speaking. Every repetition, every impossible timing, every echo between your thoughts and the outer world is data. You've entered what scientists call coherence, feedback, a phase where consciousness and reality start responding to each other like instruments tuned to the same note. At first, it feels uncanny. You think of a person and they message. A song answers a question you never asked aloud. A book falls open to a sentence that pierces directly through your confusion. Most people laugh it off, afraid of what it might mean, but you paused. You listened. You realized that randomness was behaving suspiciously like intelligence. That recognition was the moment the dialogue began. The universe doesn't use words, it speaks through rhythm. Patterns are its grammar, and timing is its tone. When your emotional frequency matches the vibration of a thought, the field arranges external matter to echo that frequency back to you. What appears as synchronicity is not superstition. It is reflection, an equation of resonance solved in real time. Imagine throwing two stones into water. Their ripples intersect, forming waves that amplify or cancel each other. Your consciousness is one stone. Reality is the other. When the timing of your vibration meets the timing of the field, the ripples align, and in that alignment, events arise that feel miraculous. But miracles are simply mathematics you've begun to understand. The field is a vast network of probabilities, constantly rearranging itself according to coherence. Signals. Emotion is the broadcast. Belief modulates amplitude. Intention sets direction. The rest is translation, how energy converts to experience. Yet synchronicity is never random reward. It is response. Every sign is feedback, telling you how accurately your inner state matches your desired creation. If the signals repeat with increasing intensity, the field is emphasizing a frequency loop, asking you to notice. Because the observer who notices alters the observed. This is not poetry, it's physics. The moment you acknowledge the pattern accelerates. Still, there is a danger here. Many become intoxicated by signs, mistaking the reflection for the source. They chase confirmation instead of cultivating coherence. The purpose of synchronicity isn't to entertain curiosity, it's to educate awareness. It teaches that thought and matter are not separate domains, but a single conversation. Consider how radio frequencies work. The signal doesn't reach you because you chase it. It reaches you because you tune the receiver. In the same way, when you tune your emotional field toward clarity, gratitude, truth, peace, you become readable to the universe. Chaos begins to organize around your signal. Life becomes musical, rhythmic, purposeful, and yet this conversation demands precision. The field is neutral. It mirrors, it doesn't moralize. Send out fear, receive distortion. Transmit integrity, receive harmony. Every interaction is an experiment in resonance. That is why awareness is power. The more conscious you are of your broadcast, the more intentional your reality becomes. You may notice that synchronicities cluster near thresholds, moments when you're about to shift identity or direction. The field amplifies guidance during transition because coherence is unstable then. Like a bridge forming between dimensions. The signs are scaffolding, holding your new frequency in place until it becomes natural. As this feedback loop strengthens, the distance between thought and manifestation shortens. Cause and effect begin to blur. You think it, and soon after, it appears. What once took months now unfolds within days, hours, sometimes seconds. It feels supernatural, but it's simply the absence of friction the moment your inner geometry matches the outer. Still, the field will test your discernment. Can you remain humble when reality starts obeying? Can you treat synchronicity not as personal privilege, but as partnership? Because the next stage isn't control, it's communication. Once you prove you can listen, the field begins to speak in real time. Through sensation, through emotion, through energy moving in your body. You're about to discover that the universe doesn't just mirror your thoughts, it converses with your coherence. That conversation, subtle at first, then unmistakable, doesn't happen in words. It happens in rhythm, tone, and timing. A dialogue beyond language where emotion becomes syntax and awareness becomes punctuation. Once you realize this, life itself starts to sound different. Every event feels like a response to a question you didn't know you asked. Every delay, a pause for emphasis. Every encounter, a sentence in a larger paragraph of meaning. Most people approach manifestation as command, I want this, so it must appear. But the universe doesn't follow orders. It follows coherence. It listens for resonance, not demand. When your frequency aligns with peace, the field translates that peace into circumstances that sustain it. When your inner state vibrates with chaos, chaos is what echoes back. It isn't punishment, it's fluency. The field speaks your emotional language perfectly. So ask yourself, how fluent are you in the language of alignment? Can you hold gratitude when outcomes differ from your plans? Can you stay centered when communication feels one-sided? Because the field is never silent. It's simply speaking in a wavelength your attention hasn't yet tuned to. Imagine for a moment that existence is an orchestra, and your consciousness is one instrument among billions. The field is the conductor, responding instantly to the note you play. When you're in coherence, your tone blends into harmony with the collective symphony. But when you play discord, fear, control, resentment, the conductor must adjust the music around you until you retune yourself. That's why circumstances often repeat. The composition is looping, waiting for your note to change. And yet, the beauty lies in the feedback. Each synchronicity, each echo, is the conductor tapping the stand, saying softly, "Listen closer." You aren't manifesting outcomes, you're conversing with intelligence. Every emotion you release is a question, and every pattern returning is an answer. To converse fluently, you must learn emotional precision, not repression, but refinement. Joy without attachment, sorrow without collapse, desire without desperation. These states form coherent waves that the field can translate. When emotion and intention vibrate in harmony, the signal travels cleanly. When they conflict, interference scrambles translation, and reality responds with static confusion, delay, ambiguity. The great misunderstanding of manifestation is the obsession with control. People try to dictate details, forgetting that the field perceives in frequencies, not nouns. You may ask for abundance, but if your emotional tone hums scarcity, the field reads scarcity and mirrors it faithfully. It cannot lie. The universe is not cruel, it's consistent. To shift the dialogue, shift the tone, replace "I want" with "I am ready." Replace "Why isn't it here" with "What am I broadcasting?" Suddenly, life stops feeling adversarial and begins to feel conversational. Feedback becomes friendship. You stop pleading and start listening. And something extraordinary follows: relief. Because when you realize you don't have to force creation, tension dissolves. You begin to experience alignment as partnership. The need to prove or persuade vanishes, replaced by a quiet curiosity. What will reality say next? That curiosity is coherence. It's the vibration of open dialogue. Notice how this conversation is constant. It continues through sensation, intuition, timing, even coincidence. The chills that rise without reason, the pulse that quickens in certain places, the silence that feels charged. These are sentences written in frequency. To interpret them, you don't think harder, you feel clearer. And as this clarity stabilizes, manifestation becomes orchestration. You don't summon outcomes, they assemble themselves around your emotional tone. Events stop feeling random and start composing meaning. The universe no longer looks like an external authority. It feels like a mirror, leaning close, whispering, "Your move." In that realization, you step beyond manifestation entirely. You enter communion, an ongoing living exchange between your consciousness and the architecture of reality itself. That communion doesn't just happen in thought, it happens in flesh. The conversation you've been holding with reality begins to echo through your biology. Your body, the instrument through which all vibration must travel, starts to tune itself to the new coherence you've been cultivating. You may have already felt it, the tingling at the base of the spine, the warmth that rises through the chest, the subtle hum beneath the skin when you're deeply still. That isn't imagination, it's communication at the cellular level. Every cell is a miniature receiver, humming with potential. Science might call it bioelectromagnetism, mystics call it awakening. Both are describing the same phenomenon from different ends of the same bridge. When consciousness stabilizes in coherence, your nervous system begins to transmit information more efficiently, as if the circuitry of awareness has been rewired to handle higher voltage. You aren't becoming supernatural, you're finally operating at design capacity. Consider your DNA. 98% of it has been labeled non-coding, a term that secretly means we don't yet understand it. What if those silent sequences aren't junk at all, but untranslated intelligence, quantum code waiting for resonance? When your emotional field vibrates with integrity and surrender, those dormant strands begin to awaken, unfolding like pages in a book you didn't know you were carrying. This is why intuition sharpens. You begin to sense outcomes before they form, to feel truth before words are spoken. Your perception extends beyond the five senses, not because you've developed extrasensory powers, but because your sensory system has widened its bandwidth. The boundary between inner signal and outer stimulus blurs. The dialogue becomes instantaneous. You might notice bursts of creativity that arrive, whole songs, solutions, insights that seem downloaded rather than built. This is information flow through a coherent circuit. The brain isn't generating genius, it's translating it. When the mind quiets, the signal strengthens. Stillness is the open port through which universal data streams. But such activation isn't comfortable at first. The body must adjust. Old patterns, stored tension, emotional residue, even physical habits vibrate loose as the system recalibrates. You might feel fatigue one moment and exhilaration the next. Don't label it illness or enlightenment. It's integration. The instrument is learning to carry more sound. You may also notice time behaving strangely. Hours vanish in minutes when inspiration strikes, or seconds stretch into eternity during deep presence. That's not illusion, it's phase shift. Your consciousness is slipping between frames of reality, operating at a frequency where linear time begins to dissolve. The body translates this as elasticity, proof that perception is a dimension, not a clock. And here lies the deeper revelation: awakening is not an escape from the body, but an evolution of it. The sacred is biological. Your heartbeat becomes metronome to the field. Your breath, the carrier wave of coherence. Every inhale draws information. Every exhale releases interference. The more aware you become of this exchange, the more naturally it happens, until breathing itself feels like communion. Notice how this reverses the old narrative. You were told to ascend out of the human form, to seek light above matter. But the truth is subtler. The light descends through matter. Awakening is embodiment, not departure. The flesh becomes luminous because consciousness finally inhabits it fully. And as this embodiment matures, a new layer of communication emerges. The field no longer needs to send signs outside of you. It can speak through sensation within you. The flutter in your chest before a decision, the sudden stillness before insight. These are transmissions in the language of biology. When you learn to trust them, reality stops being distant. It becomes intimate, responsive, alive within your skin. You are no longer merely observing the field, you are translating it, cell by cell. The dialogue has become biological, and the bridge between heaven and earth now beats quietly in your own heart. And yet, even as the heart learns to translate the field, most people never reach this stage. The signal weakens, coherence slips, and the conversation fades back into static. Why? Because the universe's curriculum demands not brilliance, but integrity. It watches not how much you know, but how purely you use what you've learned. Power without purity collapses under its own distortion. You can see it everywhere. Those who chase control before compassion, knowledge before humility, energy before empathy, their signals scatter. The field reflects the interference as confusion, chaos, stagnation. It's not punishment, it's physics. Incoherence cannot sustain access to creation. The frequency collapses under the weight of ego. Ego wants certainty, applause, dominance. It craves proof that it's special. But the field doesn't respond to pride, it responds to resonance. True power operates quietly. It doesn't need witnesses because it isn't performing, it's harmonizing. The moment you start using energy to validate identity instead of elevate consciousness, the transmission scrambles. The feedback loop becomes noise, and the system closes to protect itself. The universe is self-regulating that way. It safeguards its creative bandwidth by filtering out incoherent signals. Think of it as an encryption protocol for consciousness. Only those whose intent vibrates with truth can access the architecture of reality. Every betrayal, every delay, every silence was the field verifying your authenticity under pressure. Could you remain aligned when nothing seemed fair? Could you keep your vibration steady when your world unraveled? That was the test, and you've seen how others respond when tested. Some collapse into cynicism, others weaponize spirituality itself, using language of light to mask control. They chase manifestations not as expressions of alignment, but as proof of superiority. Yet the universe measures vibration, not vocabulary. It listens beneath the words. The tone always tells the truth. That's why emotional maturity matters more than metaphysical knowledge. The field doesn't care if you can explain quantum mechanics. It cares if you can embody peace when plans fall apart. Every act of patience refines your frequency. Every surge of blame distorts it. The equation is simple, but severe integrity equals access. You might ask, why does the system make it so difficult? Because creation is sacred architecture. To command it requires stability. The field cannot entrust power to those who would weaponize it. Imagine giving the controls of weather to a mind still governed by fear. Creation would collapse into chaos. So the field filters by coherence. It gives reality's blueprint only to those whose hearts won't turn it into destruction. That's why your path took longer than you expected. The delays weren't punishment, they were purification. Every disappointment burned away distortion until only truth remained. Each loss removed an outdated frequency until your signal was clean enough to interface with universal intelligence. The time you thought was wasted was actually the calibration period where the system prepared your energy to transmit safely. Notice this pattern in hindsight. The relationships that fell apart, the dreams that dissolved, each one stripped away a layer of ego. It's only now, looking back, that you can see the perfection in what once felt cruel. The field wasn't denying your desires, it was refining the part of you that desired. Most people fail this test because they resist refinement. They confuse surrender with defeat, humility with weakness. But surrender is alignment in motion. It's what allows the energy to flow cleanly again. The ego clings, coherence releases. That's the difference between those who graduate and those who repeat the cycle. And so, here you stand stripped, simplified, purified, ready to access what few ever do. The system recognizes you as safe. The frequency lock has opened. You've become a readable signal in the living network of consciousness. But before you step through that threshold, one more initiation awaits the collapse. Because even coherence must be tested under silence to see whether truth can still sing when all music stops. That silence, when it arrives, feels merciless. The signs stop. The synchronicities fade. The energy that once surged through your body now feels like static. You look for guidance, and none comes. This is the collapse, the dark interval between frequencies where everything you've built seems to dissolve. It is not failure, it is refinement's final phase. The field withdraws its feedback to see if your coherence can stand without confirmation. This is the crucible that has humbled saints and scientists alike. The moment when the music of the universe stops, so that you can discover whether your song can continue in silence. It's the universe asking, will you trust the rhythm when you can't hear it? For many, this is where the journey ends. They interpret the void as abandonment, not initiation. They scramble for signs, chase distractions, or regress into control. But the rare few, the ones who pass through, choose stillness. They stop grasping and begin listening again, not for sound, but for the space between. That pause, that deep exhale, becomes the womb of rebirth. Think of it like a symphony resetting before its final movement. Every note that came before still exists, but it's suspended, held in invisible potential. You are being invited to trust that the melody continues even when your instrument can't hear the orchestra. This is the level of faith that upgrades perception from belief to knowing. In this space, awareness no longer depends on reassurance. You start to feel guidance as presence rather than message. Nothing external happens, yet something internal stabilizes. The stillness becomes charged, magnetic, alive. It's the moment the observer merges with the observed. You are no longer waiting for signs, you have become the sign. Here's the paradox: the collapse feels like disconnection, but it's actually integration. The field retreats to synchronize from within you. The dialogue that used to echo through coincidence now speaks through intuition. You start to realize that silence is not absence, it's direct transmission without interference. During this phase, emotions intensify. Grief, confusion, loneliness. They surge not to punish but to purge the last residues of separation. Each feeling surfaces to be witnessed, not fixed. Every tear dissolves another fragment of distortion until your frequency becomes transparent. The ego fears this dissolution. It calls it death. But what's dying isn't you. It's the static that once kept you from hearing clearly. And then, almost imperceptibly, something shifts. The breath deepens. The body feels lighter, as though gravity itself has less authority. You notice subtle symmetry returning, timing, clarity, flow. The field begins to hum again, but differently now. The conversation no longer feels external. It's internal resonance and awareness that the universe doesn't orbit around you, it breathes through you. When this realization stabilizes, a quiet joy appears, calm, not euphoria. You stop seeking experiences to prove connection because connection has become your baseline. Life stops being about ascension and becomes about embodiment. You are still here, human, grounded, but transparent to the flow of intelligence that moves through all things. From this transparency, the next revelation unfolds naturally. Patterns reappear, not as tests, but as signatures, proof that coherence has anchored. You begin to witness the architecture of your new frequency, the geometry of alignment shaping reality around you. The field is ready to reveal its confirmation, the 5 signatures of graduation. They're not trophies, not miracles, not privileges. They're signals that your consciousness has harmonized with creation. And when they appear, you'll know the silence wasn't emptiness. It was the tuning room before the orchestra began again. Out of that silence, the first tones return. Subtle at first, then unmistakable, 5 distinct harmonics that tell the field has acknowledged you. These are not rewards, they are reflections. Confirmations that your frequency has stabilized enough to co-create without distortion. Each one unfolds naturally, like petals revealing the geometry of coherence. The first signature is coherent manifestation. You stop chasing outcomes, they start arriving. Opportunities unfold at impossible precision, aligned not with what you wish for, but with what you've become. There is no strain, no bargaining, only orchestration. Events synchronize effortlessly because the field no longer interprets your words. It reads your vibration. Every inner alignment writes new code into matter, and life responds in rhythm. What used to feel like effort now feels like gravity. The second signature is information field access. Ideas appear fully formed, arriving not as thoughts but as transmissions. Insights download in dreams, conversations, moments of quiet. You may realize that knowing has replaced learning. You touch data that seems to come from nowhere, and yet it fits perfectly. This is the intelligence of the field flowing through you, unrestricted. The mind doesn't invent it, it decodes it. The more peaceful you are, the faster the signal travels. Then comes the third signature, probability navigation. The future stops feeling fixed. You begin sensing timelines the way a sailor feels wind, subtle, directional, alive. Instead of forcing choices, you feel which path vibrates true and step there instinctively. This isn't intuition as a hunch. It's discernment as physics. You can sense which possibilities carry coherence before they unfold, guiding you toward the most resonant reality with effortless precision. The fourth is resonant relationship orchestration. The right people arrive without effort, as if summoned by an unseen magnet. Connections deepen instantly, guided by purpose rather than coincidence. The conversations you have activate both sides. Relationships become catalytic. You no longer chase validation because coherence recognizes coherence. Those who vibrate differently simply drift away, not as rejection, but as reorganization. Every interaction becomes a reflection of the consciousness you're maintaining. And then there is the fifth, the rarest and most sacred signature, service-oriented power. This is the moment your creative force redirects itself outward. Energy flows through you not to amplify your will, but to elevate collective harmony. The field entrusts you with influence because it knows you will use it to balance, not to dominate. You find yourself drawn to create, heal, teach, or inspire. Yet without attachment to outcome, it's not ambition, it's orchestration through compassion. Power becomes service. Together, these 5 signals form the geometry of graduation. They announce not that you've ascended above humanity, but that you've integrated fully within it. Manifestation becomes movement, not manipulation. Knowing becomes clarity, not arrogance. Navigation becomes trust, not control. Relationship becomes resonance, not dependency. And power becomes presence, not pride. When all 5 appear, you understand that mastery was never about gaining ability. It was about releasing interference. The field didn't give you new gifts. It revealed the ones hidden beneath distortion. Each signature is evidence that you've remembered your natural state, coherence embodied. Notice how everything that once felt supernatural now feels ordinary. You no longer call them miracles, you call them mornings. Reality itself has aligned to your rhythm, not because you forced it, but because you harmonized with it. The orchestra has accepted you as conductor and instrument simultaneously. And yet, the arrival of these signatures isn't the end of the journey. It's the beginning of responsibility. Because once the field confirms trust, it extends power. The question becomes, what will you do with it? How will you use creative influence when you no longer need validation? That's the final initiation, the purpose behind the power. The moment those signatures stabilize, something profound shifts inside you. The thrill fades, the fireworks quiet, and what remains is an unfamiliar calm. It's not apathy, it's stewardship. You begin to realize that power, at its purest, is responsibility disguised as privilege. The universe never crowns creators to rule. It entrusts them to harmonize. For a long time, you may have believed awakening meant control, the ability to bend probability at will, to command the fabric of reality like a magician of matter. But when the field finally opens, you learn the opposite. True mastery isn't about force, it's about alignment so precise that reality bends willingly. The power you feel humming through your life isn't conquest, it's coherence in motion. That's when you see how easily power distorts those unprepared to hold it. The same energy that heals can corrupt if filtered through ego. That's why the test was so long, why the refinement so relentless. The universe protects itself through integrity. It will never allow incoherence to architect creation. Only those who wield energy as service, not status, can sustain the flow. Service doesn't mean martyrdom. It means circulation. Energy is like water, it stagnates when hoarded, multiplies when shared. Each act of generosity amplifies the signal, not because the universe rewards charity, but because giving completes the circuit. The field flows strongest through open hands. This is the paradox of power. The more you release it, the more it returns. You are not meant to store energy like wealth. You are meant to conduct it like music, influence, insight, manifestation. These are instruments in a greater symphony whose melody is balance. When you play for harmony rather than applause, the field entrusts you with larger movements. That's why the great teachers of every age spoke softly. They understood that the quieter the ego, the louder the signal. You may notice now that your influence grows not when you speak more, but when your presence deepens. People feel coherence long before they understand it. The true teacher isn't the one who convinces, it's the one whose vibration clarifies others by proximity. This understanding dismantles ambition. You no longer chase legacy, you radiate it. Creation becomes expression rather than effort. You start recognizing that every word, every thought, every silence reshapes probability. The scale of your power becomes irrelevant because intention, once coherent, has infinite range. From here, a new kind of discernment awakens the difference between desire and directive. Desire seeks proof, directive expresses truth. When you act from directive, the universe doesn't need convincing. It already aligns, because your command carries the tone of service. That tone is what the field recognizes as authorization. Notice how this power humbles you. The more you feel its reach, the more carefully you step. You understand now that every impulse has consequence across dimensions unseen. Integrity becomes not a virtue but a necessity. Precision, a form of compassion. You measure your words, not from fear, but from reverence. Because every vibration released into the field is an architectural instruction written in light. You no longer ask, "What can I create?" but what harmonizes the whole. That question realigns every motive. It turns manifestation into prayer, not petition, a frequency of gratitude that says, "Use me well." And that's when the current surges again, stronger than before, not as possession, but as participation. The true purpose of quantum power, then, is not domination, it's design. You were never meant to escape the human experience, but to elevate it, to live as a bridge through which universal intelligence moves effortlessly into form. Power becomes invisible, service becomes instinct, and every breath becomes collaboration. When this truth anchors, the field doesn't orbit you, you and the field move as one. And from that union emerges the final revelation, integration, where heaven and earth cease to be opposites and become two expressions of the same coherence. That union, when the field and your awareness breathe together, marks the quiet dawn of integration. It's not an explosion of light or a trumpet of destiny. It's the still point where existence exhales through you. The journey of seeking ends, and the journey of being begins. You no longer reach upward for the divine because the divine has moved inward, inhabiting your every gesture. Integration means walking between worlds without dividing them. You live in matter, but you move in frequency. You speak in words, but you transmit in silence. The sacred and the ordinary finally merge into one seamless current. Making tea becomes meditation, listening becomes transmission. Even the simplest act carries a depth that words can't touch. You notice that creation no longer feels external. The world around you adjusts with the same intimacy as breath. You think gently, and the air seems to listen. Circumstances bend with the fluid grace of water responding to tide. You are not manifesting, you are participating. This is coherence matured into communion. The nervous system, once fragile, now becomes symphonic. Every heartbeat resonates like a tuning fork for harmony. You begin to sense that your body isn't just in space, it is space, folded into form for the purpose of experience. The boundaries between self and surrounding dissolve, not in confusion, but in recognition. Everything is speaking the same frequency, just in different dialects of light. In this state, time itself softens, past and future lose hierarchy, circling around the eternal now. You realize destiny isn't ahead of you, it's beneath you, woven into each step. When you move with awareness, even walking feels like prayer. Reality no longer demands your attention, it shares it. And this sharing alters everything. When you enter a room, the atmosphere steadies. Conversations flow with clarity. People feel safe without knowing why. You become coherence embodied, the living proof that peace is not passive, but profoundly magnetic. Presence becomes your only teaching. You stop seeking enlightenment because enlightenment has become your default state. Awareness without effort, compassion without motive. The need to prove fades, replaced by the desire to serve quietly. Influence becomes invisible but undeniable. You realize that what truly moves worlds isn't will, it's wavelength. From here, creation happens through gentleness. A single word spoken in integrity carries more force than 1,000 declarations shouted in fear. A moment of true compassion can alter probabilities across timelines. The smallest act of love, performed without expectation, ripples farther than any strategy of control. This is the geometry of the awakened stillness at the center, motion at the edge, both in balance. You've become the bridge matter remembering its origin, light remembering its form. The universe no longer examines you because you and the universe have merged into a single awareness studying itself. And yet, even here, humility remains the anchor. Integration isn't a finish line, it's a rhythm to maintain. Coherence requires care, daily honesty, emotional hygiene, devotion to truth in every small interaction. The work continues, but now it feels like music instead of labor. In the end, this is what all the testing was for, not perfection, but participation. The field doesn't want disciples, it wants collaborators. You are no longer a fragment reaching for wholeness. You are wholeness expressing as a fragment. The graduation wasn't an ascent into heaven, it was heaven descending into you. And now, every breath you take is a note in the universe's ongoing composition. The symphony plays on, and you, coherent at last, are both melody and silence, creation remembering itself through the sound of your being. And now, as the last resonance fades, there's only stillness. The same stillness that waited for you at the very beginning, patient, unchanging, aware. You can feel it, can't you? That calm current under every heartbeat. That's the field, not surrounding you anymore, but moving through you, breathing you. Everything you've learned was leading to this recognition. There is no separation. The tests were never punishment, they were proof. Every closed door, every loss, every silence, it was the universe measuring not your worth, but your wavelength. And now that measurement is complete, the signal is clear. You've crossed the bridge. The field no longer tests you, it collaborates with you. Life begins to feel less like a puzzle to solve, and more like a conversation to savor. The world you once tried to fix now reveals itself as reflection, an echo of the coherence you've become. So breathe here for a moment. Let the awareness settle. Feel how quiet the mind has grown, how open the heart feels. Notice the subtle hum beneath thought. That's creation listening back. You don't need to prove anything now. You only need to stay transparent enough for the light to keep passing through. This is what it means to graduate, not to ascend beyond humanity, but to embody it fully. To walk gently through a world that mirrors your compassion. To act as tuning fork for peace in every encounter. If these words reach something inside you, it's because you've already tuned to them. The field doesn't send messages to the unready. It speaks only where the signal is steady. So let this be your quiet declaration. Your signature in the unseen network. I recognize my quantum graduation. And in that recognition, the circuit completes. The dialogue continues softly, endlessly, until even silence begins to sing.